Today we're starting a new series of dresses based off of the elements, and this one is based off of water. I am doing this on a 100% silk taffeta and using my favorite corset bustier pattern. Here you can see that I'm sewing the cups. It is really important to keep taffeta pressed with an iron so it's nice and clean, especially against the foam cups like so. It's always a challenge getting them in, but I got them in just fine. I ended up doing bridle loops in the back because I think they're more elegant and they're a little bit classier than grommets. Then it was time to gather up these massive sleeves and struggle as I stitched them down to the strap, which meant we needed a well-deserved corgi break, and he blessed us with this sound. After that, we sewed some gathers down to elastic for the lower part of the arm, which looked really nice. And we finally moved on to the bones. And this is what the top ended up looking like. You're gonna have to come back for part 2, and I'm so sorry.
Today, I'll be making my most popular dress as a bridal gown. I'll be using a crunchy silk organza for the main fabric. The skirt is a full circle with a satin waistband. I love cutting crunchy organza with this roller. Now I add the socks onto the boning. Very nice. I like to use Ridgeline boning because it can be sewn through. Sealing the edges with binding to make it look pretty. Blip, blop, blam. The base is done. Come back tomorrow for embellishments.
The desert color palettes in California have always been so inspiring to me, and I would love to make a dress inspired by them. I'm going to approach this dress in a very abstract way, and I really want to encompass the curves and the structures of the California landscape into the lines and the seams of this dress. I started the process by drafting my pattern and cutting out my fabrics. The next step will be to start stitching the pieces together. The pattern I created has a lot of curves to it, just like the mountainscape in California. I really wanted that to be translated into the garment once it's finished. When sewing a curve, it's incredibly important that after you finish stitching, you clip your edges so that when you press it, it lays nice, flat, and beautiful. I'm so thrilled with the way the skirt is turning out. It's really giving me that kind of abstract feel of the mountains and the way they look in the distance. The last steps will be to sew the lining in, sew the zipper in, press everything nice and flat, and reveal this dress to you against the beautiful Vazquez rocks of California. What do you guys think of the way it turned out? I'm personally really excited about it. Do you have a shirt that you love the fit of but you never wear anymore? Well, let's turn that to a shirt that you will wear. We're going to start by using a seam ripper and taking the shirt apart so that we can have all the pieces separate. As tempting as it might be, don't cut it. Make sure that you seam rip it so that you have the right seam allowance, and then you're going to press the patterns flat. I'm using this silk bandana print fabric to remake my shirt out of and using a little bit of this woven interfacing. Now I'm going to start by cutting out the pattern. Both the collar stand, and the plackets will need this woven interfacing, and you'll just iron that on and it fuses right there. The very first thing that you'll be sewing are the two shoulder pieces as well as the back yoke. You'll want to make sure that you iron everything flat and serge the edges. You can also French seam if you don't have a serger. Now that we have the shoulders together, this is where the sleeve will go. After the sleeve cap is sewn in, we can then stitch the sides of the shirt. The last sewing steps will be to sew the plackets, the collar pieces, and to hem the shirt. I'm finishing everything off with some black pearly snaps as usual. And there you have it, a brand new shirt ready to wear. What'd you guys think of this DIY?
So my little brother broke his collarbone and he's currently unable to wear t-shirts because he can't put his arm through the armholes. So, as the best big sister ever, I'm going to try and give him a makeshift shirt that he's able to wear despite this. So, first step, I'm going to cut the sleeves off. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the fabric from the sleeves and I'm going to cut the top shoulder areas of the shirt and I'm going to add the fabric to the sleeves that I can add snaps to. Before I sew the fabric onto here, I'm going to clean up the edges with a simple stitch and make it look a little bit more professional. So what I've decided to do, now that I've got the edges all neatly pressed and stitched here, I'm actually going to use the hem from the sleeves. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to use that to stitch onto here that I can put the clasps on. Looking good! All done!
These are 3 mass production tips to help you sew a lot faster. These got me through so many all-nighters at school. The first tip from the industry is that you rarely use pins unless it's a complex seam or delicate fabric. For long curved seams like this, sew in short bursts and give yourself time to adjust the fabric and match notches. The next tip is to chain your thread and sew your pieces one after the other. In production, you want to block off your time so you do all your sewing at once and then all your cutting at once. It's easier to feed your pieces one after the other and cut at the very end. This is similar to the way that you would chain pieces for overlocking or serging. Speaking of serging, the last tip is to use either a latch hook or crochet hook depending on the size to finish your seams. Feed it through the overlock seam and pull the excess thread tail through it. This is way better than cutting your thread tail too short and risking it unraveling. Thanks for watching. I hope you found these tips helpful, and please let me know what you want to see next.
So I gotta take 6 inches off the waist of these jeans. First I take off the belt loops, then the waistband, and I add 2 1-inch darts on the side. Take the remaining 4 inches off the middle, cut it, sew it down, and iron it back. Do the same for the waistband, stitch it back, and I'm done.
Do I have daddy issues? That's one secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Baby girl.
Okay, so I had this Nike t-shirt I wanted to turn to a corset top. So I made my own pattern using the one I made in the previous video, but I slightly adjusted it because I wanted a slightly different look for this one. So there's the front piece, and then this one's the back piece. And I just cut that out. I also cut out interfacing and lining in those shapes. I ironed on my interfacing because mine was iron on interfacing. Then I sewed on the lining, sewing the top and bottom, right side to right side, if that makes sense, and then turn it inside out. I did the same with the back piece, and then I demonstrate here how I turn it inside out. So as you can see, I've sewed the top and bottom of the piece and then turn it inside out using the open sides, if that makes sense. Also, that's my friend Mealy. Come on and say hey. There's the front and back pieces. So then for the front, I mapped out where I wanted the boning to be. I did a straight stitch along there. And then for the back piece, I just cut it in half. I then had to zigzag stitch the middle where I just cut, then fold it in slightly, straight stitch that. And then I unpicked the top of the boning. I need a part 2.
Things about my business that just make sense. Every piece is made to order, so there's no excess inventory. This allows the dress to be custom made to your measurements and to your needs. The remnants are used to make accessories, which reduces fabric waste and adds a cute little gift to every order.
Sada, say hi.
Why do I look so fat?
There's no filter. Look.
Kadeem.
There's no filter. Look.
No, put it on your face again.
There's nothing.
No.
Sit in. Say hi.
Hi. Oh my god, bye.
Yo, mom, get in this.
Oh my god, what is this?
What?
I'm fat. I'm like SpongeBob.
Okay guys, we're going to be getting slime out of the carpet. If you have a lot of slime, remove as much as you can. What you're going to need is this soap, a fork, spoon, a sponge, and water. You're going to pour some water on top of the slime. Pick as much slime as you can of this and put it into your bowl. Now you're going to get your dish soap, put it everywhere. Now scrape, 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 scrape. When you have all that foam, put it onto your t-shirt or your bowl. If you have huge patches of slime like this, put more soap. Now water. Now scrub like this. Then scrape. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Pick up all the slime and put it onto your shirt. If you see that white pouch, you're not done scraping. You still have a lot of soap left. Scrape like crazy. When you don't see that white patch, my carpet's made with white fur, you're done.